In July 2025, Raul Valle stood silently in a Connecticut courtroom as the verdict was read. A jury had found him not guilty of murder and manslaughter in the stabbing death of 17-year-old James "Jimmy" McGrath, a case that had gripped Milford and neighboring towns for over 2 years. Valle, visibly emotional, hugged his family while the courtroom sat in stunned silence. For some, it was a victory for self-defense. For others, it felt like a miscarriage of justice. The McGrath family was devastated. Kevin McGrath, Jimmy's father, told reporters, "We're shocked. It doesn't feel like justice." The trial had ended in a partial verdict, not guilty on the most serious charges, but a mistrial declared on lesser assault and reckless manslaughter counts. Though prosecutors may seek to retry him on those, Valle, now 20, walked out of court a partially free man, forever changed. But to understand how Raul Valle got here, we need to go back to a quiet suburban upbringing, youthful aspirations, and one night that altered lives forever. Raul Valle was born in 2004 in Shelton, Connecticut, a small city nestled in Fairfield County. He was the first child of Raul and Maria Valle, a hard-working couple with roots in Central America. His father was a mechanic and small business owner, while his mother worked part-time in childcare. The Valle household was known for being close-knit and faith-oriented. Raul, or RJ to his family, was a shy, observant child, never the loudest in the room, but always attentive. He had a protective streak when it came to his younger siblings, especially his little sister. He was enrolled at St. Joseph High School in Trumbull, a private Catholic school with a strong academic reputation and a proud sports culture. There, Raul blended into the student body, quiet, respectful, and driven more by loyalty to his friends than a hunger for recognition. He wasn't on the football team, nor was he involved in school politics, but he was present at parties, study groups, and hanging out at local diners after class. Raul's inner circle often described him as someone who followed the crowd but didn't want to lead it. He wasn't a troublemaker by nature, but like many teens, he often found himself in social situations shaped by alcohol, ego, and peer dynamics. And it was in one such environment that his life would take a sudden, irrevocable turn. On the night of May 14, 2022, Raul attended a party in Shelton hosted by another teen. It was supposed to be a typical Saturday gathering: music, beer, suburban kids trying on adult behaviors. But that night, tensions erupted between students from different schools, St. Joseph and Fairfield Prep. Words turned into shoving turned into a brawl. Multiple witnesses reported that Raul was trying to defend a friend whose car had been vandalized. He confronted the group, and a physical altercation broke out. Valle later admitted he had obtained a knife from a friend. In the chaos, 4 teenagers were stabbed, 3 non-fatally, but 1 wound proved fatal. James McGrath, a well-known and beloved Fairfield Prep lacrosse player, was struck in the chest. He died that night at the hospital. Within 24 hours, Raul Valle was arrested and charged with murder, first-degree assault, and manslaughter. His mugshot, youthful face hardened with fear, made headlines across the state. The case instantly became a lightning rod for debates about youth violence, race, privilege, and accountability. But who was Raul Valle beyond the headlines? Friends who knew him before the stabbing described a different person than the one portrayed in media. A kid who worked part-time with his father during summers, who had once considered pursuing a career in automotive mechanics. He loved hip-hop, especially old-school artists like Nas and Big L. He often doodled in notebooks, mostly cartoon characters and scenes from movies he liked. He wasn't particularly athletic, but he attended school games and supported his classmates. He'd never been in serious trouble before the incident. During his 2 years under house arrest awaiting trial, Valle was kept under strict supervision. He completed high school coursework online, avoided social media, and rarely left his home except for legal appointments. His family shielded him from public attacks, while defense attorneys prepared a case built on the notion of panic, fear, and self-defense. When the trial finally began in June 2025, Raul, now a 20-year-old man, took the stand. He told the court he had blacked out during the altercation, that he never intended to hurt anyone, and that he felt surrounded, overwhelmed, and scared. His defense team presented him as a scared teen acting in a moment of desperation. Prosecutors painted a different picture, one of reckless aggression and lethal escalation. The case hinged not just on the facts but on perception. Was Raul Valle a violent teen who brought a knife to a party looking for a fight? Or was he a scared young man who made a terrible decision under pressure? The jury deliberated for several days. When they returned with a partial acquittal, finding him not guilty of the most serious charges, but undecided on lesser ones, it sent shockwaves through the courtroom. Jimmy McGrath's family wept. Valle's family sobbed in relief. The public reaction was divided. For Raul Valle, the outcome was both liberation and burden. Though he avoided a life sentence, he still faces the possibility of a retrial. A civil lawsuit filed by the McGrath family also looms. And regardless of legal outcomes, his name is now etched into public consciousness alongside tragedy. So where does he go from here? As of mid-2025, Valle remains under legal supervision while the court system decides whether to retry him on unresolved charges. He's expressed interest in counseling and possibly pursuing vocational training in the future. His family remains protective, declining interviews. Valle himself has not spoken publicly since the verdict, perhaps because in the court of public opinion, there are no easy answers. His story is not just about one night. It's about a boy caught in the chaos of peer pressure, fear, and violence. A young man who made a series of choices that resulted in irreversible loss. It's about a community grappling with grief and justice, and a generation of young people who must navigate a world where teenage mistakes can turn deadly. Raul Valle may never return to anonymity. His face, once buried in yearbooks and school rosters, is now attached to one of Connecticut's most heartbreaking modern cases. But in the quiet moments, beyond the legal motions and media buzz, he remains what he's always been. A complicated young man still figuring out what his life means after everything changed. If anything is certain, it's this: no verdict can undo what happened. No sentence can erase the pain of a life lost. And for Raul Valle, freedom, if it comes at all, will carry a price measured not in years, but in memory.